good morning. 8:30 has come around quite quickly, so we're going to open the council meeting on the 18th. Would you like to lead us off, Taku? Sorry, as you put a mouthful of water in. Thank you. Okay, we've got an apology from Mose, so I'll move that. Seconded by Councillor Hayward. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. This morning we've got Michelle for public speaking. Would you like to come up, Michelle?
Oh, thank you. Good morning. Do I start now?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
Kia ora, good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Warshawski, member of Titahi Bay Residents Association and a Porirua City ratepayer. Just referring most specifically for this presentation to the unconfirmed minutes of Ordinary Council meeting of 22nd of February 2024, item 11.3, 40th celebrations of sister city relationship with Blacktown City Council. Why are we paying for a council group to attend a party in Blacktown? What is the justification? Will it benefit the Porirua City ratepayers who are funding this trip? How many and who are going on this trip? And just a couple of mentions here about the Central City water storage tank, which was due to finish in 2024 at a cost of 48 million. We know this from an OIA that we requested a few years ago. Still unfinished, currently costing 90 million and will be over 100 million when finished. When will it be finished? What is the breakdown of costs? If this is the first of 5 storage tanks in the network, when will the rest be built? And what is the cost for the 4 other storage tanks? These tanks hold 50% less than an aeration pond at a treatment plant. Could have been built at Rokatani Point and treated the wastewater, and the cost of 5 storage tanks would build a new treatment plant. And the last thing I'd like to raise is Council have decided already on their priorities for Three Waters. The new priorities are to deliver what is currently being built and to focus on maintaining what we have. We will focus on renewal of failing assets. There doesn't seem to be a mention of maintaining or renewing obvious failing assets, the Vella Street and Rokatani Point pump stations. Why not? It is illegal to dump untreated wastewater into the environment, but undisclosed, unlimited, untreated discharges from these pump stations occur because they are too small for the rapidly increasing Titahi Bay and the wider catchment housing and population growth. The undisclosed, unrecorded, untreated discharge of last Saturday is in breach of the consent and occurs more regularly than we are officially advised or is captured by the public. Council vision is for communities to be thriving and healthy, and there's nothing thriving or healthy about untreated wastewater being dumped into the environment before it reaches a treatment plant. Chair, Mayor, we request these 9 questions are answered, please, and recorded in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We will answer all those. We'll come back to you in writing, and thank you for putting them all on paper.
Thank you.
Anyone having any questions of Michelle? No, they don't. So we will come back to you. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, do I have any conflict of interest declarations from anybody, please? No? So we move to the confirmation of minutes from the 21st of March. From the extraordinary council meeting. I'll put that on the table, seconded by Councillor Johnson. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. The minutes from the 7th of March, the extraordinary meeting. Move that, seconded by Councillor Leggett. All those in favour? Those against carried. Council on the 22nd of February. Councillor Duncan, all those in agreement? All those against carried. Thank you. Okay, I'll move to the report of the Mayor. I don't think I've even done one this year, it's been so busy. I want to thank the staff in particular for our long-term plan events so far. We had a hugely successful Pacific Night Market on Friday night where we had at least 30 people do video submissions. So the way we have been doing our long-term plan event has been different this year, and it is a huge thanks to all our staff and to the councillors who've come along. I visited 2 new businesses in the last couple of weeks, and these ones are both in Whitby, Zill Barbers and Glow Pilates. So it's awesome to have new ones opening. We had the launch of the Manu platform at the Arena Pool, which was a highlight, and the kids seem to be loving it. I obviously got really wet, but it's thanks to the Arena team who are doing things, because the group of kids really enjoyed it, and they had the big blow-up platform, so I have to thank staff for that. And Kylie and I attended the Environmental Cadetship program with Taku, along with Annabelle Pennington and the kids from Canners Creek. And I have to say that program, it may be one that a joint program will be growing all the plants at the nursery, but it's giving people work from the area, so it's great with 100,000 plants to go in. I joined the Whitby Scouts, 50 years of Cares Scouts in Whitby, so that was a highlight. Somebody's buzzing. And then Mike, Christine and I attended the new market that opened on Sunday in Porirua, and they're going to be going every second week, and I have to say it was hugely successful. There was 34 stalls or 32 stalls. The next one's the 5th of May, so they're giving it a go. In summer they want to go every week, but at the moment they're doing it monthly and then fortnightly. Celebrated with the Cambodian community, which was their New Year, which was great. I attended the Porirua theatre production of the high school musical at Bishop Viard, which was awesome because it's a young cast. Recognised a lot of those kids from Mana College. Wendy and I caught up with the British High Commissioner. She came for a quick visit. She'd been out to see Barbara Edmonds and us, and I noticed she'd been to Whitakers before us. So she had a good trip out here. We had the Grand Traverse where we had the 950 competitors, and they're doing a big celebration next year, which will be their 20th. Another great event. I had the Cactus program with the Porirua College. Renee Perkins and I were the main speakers at the first one, and it was awesome to see these kids and families after the 8-week course. Getting up at 5:30 every morning and being there on time was great, and has definitely turned some kids around. Jeff and I joined the Te Bay Triathlon event, Te Bay School. Everyone was a winner on that day because everybody participated. So that was fun. I joined the Tokelauan community for their 30-year overall master plan event with Nicola Willis and Taku. Once again, another good session. And then Jeff and I went to the Wellington Phoenix, where they beat the Sydney Wanderers. With Jeff had his big sign in the audience, I have to say. It was a great event because the Sister City Cup went back to the Phoenix, beating Blacktown. So that was a bit of a celebration. The Cake Cafe in Plymerton had its first birthday, so I joined the owners Nat and Kate to cut a beautiful cake. I've had the 75th Jubilee of the Judgeford Golf Club in Patanui. That was a huge turnout for them and a lot of events on at the weekend. A group of us went to the Welly Awards. Obviously, Adi Xavier won the sport, but took out the whole event, so that was quite nice, even though he was in Japan. Discovery Kindergarten, Wheelathon, and our parks team came along to that. There was a huge group of them, so they let the kids all sit on all the machines. I got into one of the tractors. I have to say it's very high up, and our parks team did a great job. And then Taku and I joined the Silverbrook community, where Taku blessed the new park, and then they had a night movie. So that was another great event. That community seems to have kicked off quite well. And then they ran a Easter egg hunt for anyone in Porirua. And the last event was the Black Grace event with Neil and Iramia. Phil and I went along with that, and I have to say that was a real treat, so we really enjoyed that. Taku, anything from you? Yep. Oh, yes.
2 sessions,
yesterday,
one in the morning,
yeah.
one in the afternoon. Had the privilege
Mike?
of laying... Oh,
It's on.
it's on. Had the privilege of laying the reef alongside the Australian Governor-General yesterday morning at the Fallen Soldiers too. And just a bit of information. Ngāti tō will be holding quite a quiet protest against the consent processes. We're not against development. We just want to send a message that take care of the environment while you're doing it.
Good on
We'll
you.
we'll keep you up to speed with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got no petitions, no committee recommendations, so we'll move into our first report, 11.1, updates to the government documents. I'll move it to put it on the table, seconded by Councillor Hayward. So this is open for discussion. Would you like staff? Yes, Jeff. Okay, we won't even have staff. We'll go straight to you.
Atamaria kurumatu mihi kai kunihira kamatu katoa. Thank you, officers, for preparing this report. I can see from the voluminous amount of content that there has been a thorough amount of work done by officers. I acknowledge that, the mihi them. I want to focus on, in particular, workshops, which is not necessarily as regards to these items, but is part of the broader conversation, which I'm going to come to. But before that, one specific thing that's in the report, point 19G, it is regards to the clarification that a notice of motion require the signature of the mover and not less than 1/3 of the members of the council or committee, not including vacancies. This change reflects best practice and can be considered a suitable level to gauge support for a motion prior to the council or committee consideration. My question for officers is this: why would we recommend something that, and I'll expand in a moment, Kurumatu, to give you some understanding of why I bring this question up, why there would be, you would advocate for something that would seem to me be an incongruity with regards to notices of motion through the agenda that the chairperson working with officers in preparing prior to a meeting, as well as amendments to motions on the floor during the meeting or in advance of the meeting. To me, in all of those circumstances, you require a mover and a seconder. At no point does a chair or anyone in the committee proper require to gauge the support of other members of the body when they're making that decision. I'm trying to understand why this threshold has to be put in place for this instance, other than, which I can only hypothesise, is an attempt to try and curtail the ability of single or groups of councillors to bring up items that they feel are important independently of the agenda of the day.
Yep.
Kia ora, Councillor Hayward. Through the chair, this threshold has been put in there just in line with practices from councils around the country. Most notably, Wellington City Council has this threshold as well. The logic behind it isn't a curtailment of democracy or individual members being able to move anything at all. It's more so that if something comes to a council meeting, it should be have some support of the membership to get on the agenda. Otherwise, it might not have a chance of actually getting to that 50% threshold to pass. So it's just about gauging the support before it's put on the agenda.
I note the answer from officers. It's a good steer. You haven't convinced me. I foreshadow a request that this item, 19G, to be separated for a vote, and then I will foreshadow that I'll vote against that part. However, I'm supportive of all of the other recommendations and the clarity, that enhanced clarity that's been given, including with regards to the speaking time of people in public forum. But I want to talk about workshops. Now, in October of last year, the Office of the Ombudsman released a report, Business for Good, where they talked about the issue of workshops and their disclosure to the public. I highlighted this with the CE to Mayor, an email to the CE in regards to this, and noted that there may be some work being done by officers in the background about this. I would have thought that this would be an ideal time with this agenda item and the amount of time since October of last year to have considered some additional measures that would have been brought to the council's attention. I also note the irony that, as far as I know, no workshop had been held on these items, because I would have thought that I could have raised my concerns at that point as well.
Yep.
My apologies, Councillor. You did raise this issue with me last year We did have some absences of critical staff last year, and frankly, the LTP has been somewhat all-consuming. So the excuses, and I apologise for that, because we should have been able to galvanise some response before now. We will get something to you soon. I'm not sure whether you're suggesting that we should lie this on the table until that is done, or
No, I'm not.
what you're
My
suggesting.
recommendation is that that we have, without delay, a report from officers, whether that's in a workshop or otherwise, as to what measures officers are working on in response to the recommendations from the Ombudsman. And to assist officers in this regard, I'll read out verbatim some of the recommendations. It will not take long, Koramatua, that piqued my interest. Consider including a link to information about meetings and workshops prominently on the website landing page. Consider surveying constituents to establish the type of information about meetings and workshops they want to see on the website. Formalise the process for reconsidering the release of public excluded content at a time when the basis for withholding it may no longer apply. Adopt the principle of openness by default for all workshops and briefings, forums, etc., including a commitment to recall a clear basis for closure where justified on a case-by-case basis. Make sure the time, dates, venues and subject matter of all workshops are publicised in advance, along with rationale for closing them where applicable. Review practice and internal guidance for keeping records of workshop proceedings, ensuring that they contribute to a clear audit trail of the workshop, including details of information presented, relevant debate, consideration of options. Publish workshop records on the Council's website as soon as practicable after an event. Formalise the process for considering release of information from closed workshops. Consider live streaming and or audio-visually recording workshops. And finally, considering making meeting dates and times more visible to the public. These are recommendations from the Office of the Ombudsman.
They don't have to actually be followed, though. They are recommendations. So we will discuss that at a future meeting. We work particularly well here. So anyone else? Yes, Kathleen. Sorry, Jeff, had you finished on?
I have,
Sorry, yes.
It's just a question, really. What date is this workshop going to happen?
This workshop is not happening at the moment. We're talking about the papers here. Jeff
No, the one that Wendy was just referring to.
She hasn't
It's
got an
not
organised
scheduled.
one.
It's not scheduled at the moment, but I understand that these issues will be raised at the leadership team either next week or the week after. So shortly is probably the best I can do on that. So we look at the work program on a regular basis to make sure that we can schedule
After
whatever's
long-term
coming
plan.
up.
After
So,
long-term plan.
we did say that, I think, last year, but we may be able to get it to you earlier than that.
So in May, is that what you're thinking?
We don't know, Kathleen. You can't push them for a
I'm
date.
asking the CE. Not
Yeah, maybe, although some of us are away in May. So I honestly don't know. It may be more closer to June.
closer to June. Okay. Yeah, it's just when we've had a few media presses about it, and the things Councillor Hayward has brought up is fair. So,
Yeah,
and, you know-
you're not talking to the paper item, are you? You're raising something, yes,
Yeah,
but that's not in this
I
paper.
just would want to reassure the councillors that we are currently operating within the legislation, and the Ombudsman was clear about that. And our own legal advice is that they think that the Ombudsman has gone rather further than they would have necessarily recommended. So, you know, they are not slam dunk. We should all necessarily do everything that the Ombudsman says. So it does require some thought, and it will require some judgment from councillors when we bring it to the council. So it's not just a thing that you would do and, you know, take everything that the Ombudsman has said. Transparency is what we are trying to achieve. And we certainly achieve that through our work here. We do not take decisions in workshops. We are clear about that, and we're clear about that with you. So we are certainly operating within the law, and we do run a transparent process already. It's how much more transparent you would like to be. But I am rather preempting the discussion at a workshop that we can have that discussion.
Yeah, I accept what you're saying about the ombudsman. I think the concern that a few of us have heard in the community is while we might be being transparent in the workshops, the optics of it look like we're not to members of the community, and that's been raised both in complaints to us directly to you, I believe, last year through some residents' associations. It's been come up in the media a few times. So, yeah, that's kind of why I'd like to see this workshop happen. So thank you, June, is, yep, that's acceptable. Thank you.
Have you got any updates for the governance ones?
No, I'm fine
Okay.
with the governance.
Josh?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. I just wanted to echo the comments of Councillor Hayward. I mostly agree with the proposed changes around the standing orders. I think there's some stuff that's really good in here, cleaning up some issues. There are a few things I think actually probably better reflect our current practice anyway, and so that's really appropriate. I do agree, though, with the comments around 19G and notices of motion. I think this is something that I understand why at some councils they might have it, and in some situations I think could be appropriate. I'm not sure I've seen the case for it here in Porirua, just in that we don't tend to have an issue with people abusing or taking advantage of our notices of motion practice as it currently is. So for me, it's a bit of a case of if it isn't broken, we don't need to fix it. I do think it presents an opportunity, doing notices of motion the way we currently do, to thrash out issues in a public forum where appropriate, at relatively short notice, with as long as the councillor is able to secure support from one other councillor to get it on the table. So in a different circumstance, if this had been maybe used in an appropriate way and gumming up meetings, maybe, but I think we actually handle it quite well. So I'll just signal that I'll be supporting Councillor Hayward's amendment. Otherwise, very happy with this. I think it's a very good improvement, and I'll be voting in favour.
Anybody else? Councillor Leggett.
Much as it pains me to say so, I probably agree with Josh and Jeff. I suspect this is a solution looking for a problem, and I don't see any reason to do this at this stage, because I think it's we haven't come across this before, and I don't think there are any issues in council. So I will support that amendment. Thank you.
Point of order. It would seem that there's some confusion as to whether or not this is actually a proposed amendment or not. If it please the chair, the mayor, I'm happy to turn this into a motion. However, I will require a seconder, and I noted that.
I think you've already got one over there.
Right.
Can we just take it off and delete it? We just vote against them.
So again, point of order. So just to be clear, I would suggest that the motion be that any references to changes that are alluded to in point 19BG be removed.
Can we just remove 19G, Jack?
With the leave of the meeting, as long as there's no objection from members, we can add that to the motion.
Okay, so my question now, is anybody going to object if I remove 19G? And we'll just renumber H to G. Okay. So no one else wants to speak. I will put the motion that we remove 19, so we've got our standard one, remove 19G and obviously renumber H, which is easy enough to do. All those in agreement? All those against? Carried. Thank you. Yes, and that brings our meeting to a close, so we will do our karakia because our workshop is off-site this morning. So we will put our karakia up. Have I got it in my papers? You should know it anyway. So the meeting's going to close at 8:55. There we go. Thank you. We're in the hands of Mike.